The galaxy had always believed one simple truth: power belonged to those with the biggest fleets. For over 8,000 years, the Galactic Dominion ruled thousands of star systems with overwhelming force. Their armadas stretched across the stars like endless rivers of steel. Entire civilizations surrendered the moment Dominion warships appeared in orbit. Resistance was considered impossible. Then humanity arrived. At first, the Dominion laughed. Earth controlled only a handful of colonies compared to the Empire's thousands. Human ships looked crude beside elegant alien cruisers. Their technology seemed outdated. Their military doctrine appeared reckless. The Galactic Council warned humanity to obey Dominion law, pay tribute, and dismantle its expanding navy. Humanity refused. The refusal wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was a single transmission broadcast across every military frequency. We answer to no empire. The message lasted only 5 seconds. But those 5 seconds marked the beginning of the greatest military disaster in galactic history. Supreme Commander Varek stood aboard the Dominion flagship Eternal Judgment, staring at the holographic map of the Orion frontier. "How many human warships defend this sector?" he asked. The intelligence officer answered confidently. "Only 12 confirmed vessels, Commander." Varek smiled. "Send 300. The officers nodded. For them, this wasn't a war. It was an execution. 300 Dominion battleships entered human territory expecting surrender. Instead, they found nothing. No defense fleets. No orbital stations. No distress calls. Even the colonies appeared abandoned. "It's a trap," one officer whispered. Varek laughed. "Humans don't possess the intelligence to trap us." Moments later, every sensor aboard the fleet went dark. Communications disappeared. Navigation systems froze. A single unknown signal appeared. No identification. No fleet designation. Only one word: Ares. "What is Ares?" Varek demanded. No one answered. Because no database contained that name. Far beyond the Dominion formation, something enormous emerged from folded space. Not 10 ships. Not a fleet. Just one. The vessel stretched nearly 40 kilometers long. Its armor was blacker than space itself, absorbing every beam of light. Thousands of weapon ports slowly opened across its hull. The silence aboard the Dominion fleet became unbearable. "Impossible," one navigator whispered. "Our scanners can't calculate its mass." Another officer reported with shaking hands. "It has no detectable engine emissions. It shouldn't even exist." The mysterious battleship continued drifting toward the Dominion armada without firing a single shot. Its movements were calm, almost patient, like a predator approaching frightened prey. Suddenly, every Dominion screen activated. A human officer appeared, gray-haired, expressionless. He wore no medals, only a simple black uniform. "My name is Admiral Nathan Cross." His voice echoed through 300 enemy ships. "You crossed humanity's final warning. You now face the consequences." Commander Varek burst into laughter. "One ship? You expect one ship to stop the greatest empire ever created?" The admiral didn't smile. Instead, he quietly replied, "No." A long silence followed. Then he spoke words that history would never forget. "I expect one ship to end it." Across the Dominion bridge, laughter filled the room. No one noticed that every targeting computer aboard their fleet had suddenly gone offline. No one noticed their shields quietly shutting down. And no one noticed that the human battleship had never actually entered attack range. Because it didn't need to. The war hadn't begun. It had already been decided. For several long seconds, nothing happened. 300 Dominion warships floated in perfect formation, their commanders waiting for the mysterious human vessel to make the first move. On the bridge of the Eternal Judgment, Supreme Commander Varek folded his arms with a smug grin. "So this is humanity's ultimate weapon?" he scoffed. "One oversized battleship." His officers laughed. "Commander, permission to fire?" Varek nodded without hesitation. "Erase it." The order spread instantly through the fleet. Thousands of plasma cannons charged at once, filling space with an eerie blue glow. Targeting computers locked onto the lone human battleship. Fire! A storm of energy erupted across the darkness. Thousands of plasma beams, antimatter torpedoes, and kinetic lances raced toward the black vessel. The attack was so massive that nearby stars seemed to disappear behind the wall of light. Every Dominion officer expected the human ship to vanish. The explosions never came. Every weapon simply stopped. Thousands of projectiles froze in space, hanging motionless only a few kilometers from the battleship. Silence swept across every bridge. "What?" whispered a sensor officer. The frozen weapons began to glow. Then slowly they turned around. "No," another officer muttered. Commander Varek stepped toward the main display. "Impossible." Without warning, every projectile accelerated back toward the Dominion fleet at twice its original speed. "Shields up," Varek shouted. Nothing happened. "Our shields are offline. Emergency evasive maneuvers. Engines aren't responding." Panic spread through the fleet as the returned barrage tore through the first line of battleships. Massive explosions illuminated the darkness. Proud Dominion cruisers split apart like fragile glass, their armor unable to survive their own weapons. Within seconds, dozens of capital ships had been destroyed. Across the fleet, frightened captains demanded answers. "What kind of technology is this? Our scanners can't explain it. It violated every known law of physics." On the bridge of Ares, Admiral Nathan Cross remained perfectly calm. He watched the battle through the main viewport without celebrating. A young human officer looked toward him. "Sir, the enemy has already lost 73 ships." Cross nodded. "They still believe they're fighting a battleship." The officer frowned. "Aren't they?" The admiral looked at the endless stars before answering. "No. This vessel was never built to win battles. It was built to end wars before they truly begin." At that moment, the black armor of Ares shifted. Gigantic sections of its hull unfolded like mechanical wings, revealing structures no alien civilization had ever witnessed. Deep within the ship, a brilliant white core awakened. Across the Dominion fleet, every sensor screamed the same warning. Unknown energy signature. Power level. Unmeasurable. Fear replaced arrogance. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Empire realized a terrifying truth. They had not invaded humanity. They had challenged a civilization that had been hiding its greatest weapon. And Ares had only used its defensive systems. Its true offensive power had not yet been unleashed. The surviving Dominion fleet drifted through fields of burning wreckage. Explosions echoed across the void as shattered battleships broke apart one after another. Emergency beacons flashed in every direction, and thousands of escape pods scattered like sparks from a dying fire. Supreme Commander Varek stared at the tactical display in disbelief. 300 warships had entered human space. Barely 200 remained combat-capable. And the enemy hadn't fired a single weapon. "This is impossible," Varek whispered. His chief strategist quickly stepped forward. "Commander, we must retreat." Varek slammed his fist onto the command console. "Retreat? From one ship?" Before anyone could answer, every display aboard the Eternal Judgment flickered. Admiral Nathan Cross appeared once again. His expression remained calm. "I offered your empire a warning. You answered with arrogance." Varek leaned toward the screen. "You think you've won? Our reinforcements number in the thousands." Cross nodded slightly. "I know. You know. We intercepted your orders before you transmitted them." A chill spread across the Dominion bridge. Cross continued. "Your reinforcements are already on their way." Varek smiled again. "Then your single ship is finished." For the first time, Nathan Cross smiled. That was the plan. The transmission ended. Deep inside Ares, massive armored doors slowly opened beneath the ship's central spine. Crew members watched silently as an enormous cylindrical structure extended into space. It wasn't a cannon. It wasn't a missile launcher. It looked more like an ancient machine awakening after centuries of sleep. A young officer swallowed nervously. Permission to activate the horizon lance? Cross looked through the forward viewport. Permission granted. Across the battleship, red warning lights shifted to brilliant white. The ship's artificial intelligence announced in a calm voice. Primary strategic weapon online. Reality stabilizers disabled. Spatial containment released. Outside, space itself began to ripple. Stars appeared distorted, bending around the enormous weapon. Even light struggled to travel normally. Every Dominion sensor overloaded instantly. We've lost visual tracking. Gravitational readings are impossible. The battleship is changing space itself. Then the reinforcements arrived. Thousands of Dominion warships emerged from hyperspace, stretching across millions of kilometers. It was the largest military formation ever assembled in galactic history. Captains cheered. Officers celebrated. They believed victory had finally arrived. Then every reinforcement commander noticed something strange. Only one human battleship waited for them. Just one. Their confidence returned immediately. All fleets, the Dominion Grand Marshal ordered, destroy that vessel. Before a single weapon could fire, Nathan Cross gave one quiet command. Horizon lance. The universe fell silent. There was no explosion, no beam of light, no deafening blast. Instead, a single invisible wave expanded outward from Ares. Where it passed, reality itself seemed to fold. Entire Dominion battleships simply disappeared. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Gone. As if they had never existed. Sector after sector vanished into absolute silence. Fleet formations collapsed instantly. Admirals screamed into dead communication channels. Navigation computers displayed only one impossible message. Error. Target does not exist. Within less than 60 seconds, over 1,000 Dominion warships had been erased from history. No debris remained. No escape pods survived. Only empty space marked where the Empire's greatest fleet had once stood. Across the galaxy, millions watched the battle through emergency broadcasts. For the first time in 8,000 years, the Galactic Empire knew fear, and Admiral Nathan Cross had not yet revealed Ares' final capability. Silence spread across the battlefield. Not the silence of peace, the silence of disbelief. Thousands of Dominion warships had arrived expecting to witness the destruction of a single human battleship. Instead, they watched entire battle groups disappear without explosions, debris, or distress calls. Space itself seemed haunted by the empty voids where proud fleets had existed only moments before. Panic erupted across every Dominion communication channel. Retreat. Our weapons are useless. We can't even target the human ship. Get us out of here. But hyperspace drives refused to activate. Navigation systems displayed the same message on every vessel. Hyperspace access denied. Supreme Commander Varek stared at the warning in horror. What has that ship done? His chief scientist answered with a trembling voice. Commander, Ares isn't jamming our drives. He swallowed hard. It's controlling the fabric of space. For the first time in his military career, Varek realized the truth. Humanity hadn't built the most powerful battleship. They had built a machine capable of rewriting the battlefield itself. Aboard Ares, the bridge remained almost silent. There were no cheers. No celebration. Only disciplined officers carrying out their duties. Admiral Nathan Cross stood before the panoramic viewport, watching the terrified enemy fleet. A young lieutenant finally broke the silence. Sir, should we finish them? Cross didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked toward the stars. My grandfather fought in the First Contact War, he said quietly. He told me something I'll never forget. The bridge listened. The purpose of overwhelming strength is not endless destruction. It is to make future wars unnecessary. The lieutenant nodded slowly. Cross turned toward the command console. Transmit on all frequencies. Within seconds, every surviving Dominion ship received the same live broadcast. Nathan Cross appeared on every screen. Behind him stood the enormous bridge of Ares, calm and undamaged. His voice echoed across thousands of vessels. Galactic Dominion. You believed fear created order. You believed superior numbers guaranteed victory. You believed humanity would kneel. He paused. You were wrong. If I wished, none of you would leave this system alive. Across the enemy fleet, frightened officers remained completely silent. Cross continued. I will give you the mercy your empire never offered others. You have 1 hour. Leave human space. Never return. There will not be a second warning. The transmission ended. A heated argument erupted aboard the Eternal Judgment. Several admirals demanded surrender. Others wanted one final attack to preserve the Empire's honor. Varek remained silent until the fleet's chief intelligence officer rushed onto the bridge. Commander, we've intercepted classified human archives. Display them. A hologram appeared. It showed Ares under construction nearly 200 years earlier. Then another image appeared. Behind Ares were 9 more battleships. Larger, heavier, even more advanced. Each carried a different designation. Titan, Odin, Valkyrie, Leviathan, Prometheus. The officer's hands shook. Commander, Ares is only the first of the Omega fleet. Every officer on the bridge froze. Varek's face turned pale. He looked back toward the lone black battleship dominating the battlefield. The ship they had feared wasn't humanity's strongest weapon. It was merely the one humanity had chosen to reveal. And somewhere beyond the stars, 9 even greater warships waited in complete silence. The revelation spread through the Dominion faster than any emergency signal. Ares was not humanity's ultimate weapon. It was only the first vessel of the legendary Omega fleet. Across the Galactic Empire, governors, admirals, and politicians refused to believe the intelligence reports. Surely it had to be human propaganda. Surely no civilization could possess 10 warships capable of rewriting the laws of space. Then long-range observatories confirmed the impossible. 9 massive energy signatures had appeared along the borders of human territory. They weren't advancing. They weren't preparing for war. They were simply waiting. It was enough. Panic swept through the empire. Stock markets collapsed. Military academies suspended training. Entire frontier garrisons abandoned their posts without orders. For the first time in 8,000 years, the Dominion was afraid of someone else. On the bridge of the Eternal Judgment, Supreme Commander Varek removed the insignia from his uniform and placed it on the command console. We've lost, he said quietly. No one argued. The surviving fleet turned away from human space, leaving behind thousands of drifting wrecks. The invasion that had been planned as humanity's destruction ended as the greatest retreat in galactic history. 3 weeks later, representatives from hundreds of civilizations gathered aboard the Galactic Council's central station. The chamber was silent as the human ambassador stepped to the center of the room. Many expected demands for revenge. Others expected humanity to seize control of the galaxy. Instead, the ambassador spoke only a few words. Humanity has no interest in ruling the stars. We seek partners, not subjects. But let this day be remembered. We will never begin a war. And we will always finish one. No delegate challenged the statement. Not after witnessing what Ares had done. The Council unanimously approved the Treaty of Seoul, outlawing wars of conquest and recognizing Earth's sovereignty. Nations that had once mocked humanity now requested alliances, scientific exchanges, and trade agreements instead of military confrontations. Peace, it seemed, had finally become possible. Months later, Admiral Nathan Cross stood alone in the observation deck of Ares, gazing at the stars. A young officer approached him. Sir, history calls you the man who crushed an entire galactic empire with one battleship. Cross smiled faintly. They misunderstand. The empire wasn't defeated by one ship. It was defeated by its own arrogance. The officer looked out at the endless darkness. So, what happens now? Cross folded his hands behind his back. We keep watching. We keep building. And we pray these ships are never needed again. Far beyond the edge of explored space, hidden sensors detected a faint transmission from an unknown galaxy. One message. One sentence. the human guardians have awakened. Deep inside a classified vault beneath Earth's lunar command center, a silent computer acknowledged the signal. A new file opened automatically. Omega Fleet Protocol, Phase 2. Status: authorized. Somewhere in the darkness beyond known space, something ancient had finally noticed humanity. And this time, even the legendary Ares might not be enough.